Shockwave. Built in 1978, Shockwave was, briefly, the tallest continuous circuit roller coaster in the world when it opened. Despite this, the first drop begs to those slightly scared of roller coasters that this will be a nice, mild ride. Although the first drop isn't great, the rest of this coaster hits home runs, which has led it to consistently being ranked in the top 50 steel coasters through the Golden Ticket Awards, peaking at 12th in 1999 and currently ranking 47th after dropping off the rankings for a few years. What makes Shockwave so great? The basic seatbelt and lap restraint offer riders a decent amount of airtime compared to more modern coaster restraints. However, this coaster is still able to have a height restriction of 42 inches, which is beyond me to comprehend. This design allows for riders to really feel any and all floater and ejector airtime throughout the ride. Shockwave starts with a chain lift, which, with not much to see and open slits in the cars, can be a little scary for anyone afraid of heights. To add to this, the lift does a small stall at the top to let you take in that record-setting height. The turnaround throws you around enough and at a high, rickety enough height that I was really rethinking how bad that first drop might really be. Though, the drop is about as tame as it looks. Then, you're thrown through two super intense loops which get around 5.9 Gs. Let's put it this way. I was leaning over the empty seat next to me on one of my laps on Shockwave, and I was generally concerned for the safety of my neck and back because of the force that was pushing down on it through that loop. Sit nicely and enjoy them. I think the first one's a little more enjoyable to me just because of that sheer shock of how powerful it truly is. The pressure does also seem to be a little bit less if you sit in the middle cars, mainly because it lets up a little bit in the very top of the loop, whereas the front and the back cars have it sustained throughout the loop, with the worst being in the front car. The rest of this coaster, after the loops, is fantastic. Even if it looks like just some small turnarounds and not too great at drops. Going up into the turnarounds gives you a great pop of floater airtime, especially for those in the front cars. Going down these drops gives you a great sense of ejector airtime, especially if you're in the back car. Even the quasi-bunny hill at the end that looks like it could give you even more airtime doesn't really do that much more because of how great all of the preceding elements individually are. My favorite is probably the second up part because it quickly throws you into the banking curve as soon as you get to the top. The end of the ride has weaker airtime moments as it lets things slowly calm down. But with how great the other elements are, I don't mind this calm as you're preparing to end this classic ride. Overall, Shockwave is one of the best steel roller coasters in the world, and by far one of the best steel coasters built in the 1970s or 80s. The ability of this ride to offer two really different rides, depending on if you're sitting in the front row or the back row, gives it great re-rideability. I prefer the front, as I normally do, for the likelier better floater airtime on most coasters. But both offer equally interesting rides, which made this a really tough decision for me to pick which one I liked best. As far as how great this coaster is, I place it above Wonder Woman, but just below the Iron Rattler in my rankings. Though, with Shockwave's uniqueness, I worry it will become very difficult to rank this coaster as I ride more and more of the world's best steel coasters.